morning, everybody. Happy to see you and happy Friday. Yay! So I'm in my comfy clothes today, my pink fuzzy hoodie, because I've got a quiet day. My husband's getting some tests done, so I have no appointments today, and I'll go hang out with him at the hospital in a little bit later. But I wanted to say hi and talk about today's topic. Now, why do you care? Well, my name is Rita Hickman. I'm a body-mind expert, a shiatsu massage therapist, and I help women, and I have for the last 12 years, move through or work with or heal from or figure out narcissistic and toxic relationships, which are so much more common than you ever thought, especially since narcissism is a spectrum. And so people can either be further on the spectrum of narcissism or further on the spectrum of not narcissism. And actually, there's a whole diagnosable thing, going on where it meets certain qualifications. But we're going to talk about relationships which are more toxic, which are, not to the level of, let's say, domestic violence, because then you absolutely need some support with that, physical violence. But when we are talking about emotional work, when we're talking about wounds, when we're talking about manipulation, when we're talking about trauma, when we're talking about those sorts of things, that's what I can help women with. Really find a way out of that sort of mess that it is, their thoughts, beliefs, ideas, feelings, past wounds, all of that. And I come at it from a very mind-body perspective, which is what today's topic is about. One of the things that I'm rereading a wonderful book by Jamie Sams on healing, and I picked it back up again because I must have read it 20 years ago, something like that. And it was still on my shelf, still, at work with all my stuff. And I stretched and I knocked over all these books and I had to put them back up. And I was like, oh, I haven't read this in a while. This has been a long time. So I pulled it back out and I've been reading it again. And it's so nice because it's right in alignment with what I do and what I focus on. One of my biggest problems with personal development stuff is they skip the most important parts of healing, the very fundamentals of healing, which is getting your life force back, getting your energy, getting your pain down, getting the brain fog cleared, getting your inner emotional reactions sorted out, getting your nervous system calmed down, dealing with overwhelm. Almost all personal growth stuff, they focus on, understandably so, these higher realms of consciousness, the above and the below and the middle. And I mean, it's very cool stuff. It's very, very cool stuff. The problem is most people are not at that place yet, because they've been in toxic relationships, and these toxic relationships have literally taken away their life force, and we've allowed them to, we allowed them to. We can't do these higher levels of beingness and success and showing up in the world and being healers and creating amazing opportunities and relationships and situations unless we deal with this one big focal point, which is getting your life force back, getting that energy back. Because when you're tired, you're going to be volatile. When you are dehydrated, then you're going to be irritable. When you're hungry, you're going to be angry. When your blood sugar's low, you're going to end up feeling angry. All of these sorts of things. It's very difficult to be in a relationship with someone who is toxic, who has a lot of their own issues, when we don't have any energy or focus or care or ability to be present, And many times these relationships, they aren't just a snap of the finger, just walk away and you're done. A lot of these relationships, they last for a lifetime. You know, even when you divorce a narcissist, you think, aha, I'm divorced from the narcissist. It's done. No, because now the divorce takes, 4 or 5 years. Now they still have interaction with you. You've got kids together, or maybe they're your parent or your child. It's wonderful to think that you can just snap your fingers and walk away from anybody. But, we're really not able to do that until we get our life force back. We're not able to make those changes until we have the energy and the focus and the clarity and the understanding in order to be able to do those things. So, if you're, a friend of mine likes to call it a spiritual bypass. So most of the self-help and spiritual books that are out there, they encourage a spiritual bypass. They like to jump right over, getting your physical needs met, getting nourished, getting the things that you really need. They skip right over that stuff and go right to, well, you just need to be more enlightened. You just need to be, more in tune. You just need to, you need to be more. You need to do more. You need to have more compassion. You need to have more understanding. All that stuff is only possible after you take care of yourself first. After you get your needs met first. And when you don't get your needs met of community, of being heard, of being valued, of feeling safe, of healthy habits that keep you feeling your best, of even understanding what habits you need in the first place and how they affect how you feel. You need new thoughts. You need new experiences. Very specific things we have to have before we're able to go to this higher spiritual realm. And that's probably one of the reasons that every time you've tried the personal growth stuff or the or therapy, a lot of psychotherapy is based on that. It's about being in a place that you're not at yet, that you can't even comprehend because you're way too tired to even get out of bed because your digestive system's all screwed up and your back is killing you and, your knees gimpy and, there's all this other stuff going on. And this higher level of thinking, this being closer to God, being closer to all that is, following a spiritual path, it's important to start looking at those things now, but it's most important that you get you stop coming from a place of being empty and depleted, and you get the things that you need. You purposely set up, you purposely create and change how you interact with the world so that you can get the things that you need. And when you get the things that you need, you are able to be the person that you want to be. You're able to be that compassionate, kind, understanding, empathic, intuitive, smart, funny, interesting human being. You're able to be that person. You absolutely positively are, but not at the snap of a fingers. Not only because you only think of spiritual things. Those levels come as a side effect. They come as a result of getting your needs met and continually being on that growth process, on that idea of that it can never end. You can keep evolving. You can keep getting closer to God. You can keep getting closer to all that is. If you're more atheist, you can keep coming more into alignment with the laws of the universe. You absolutely can. And you have to deal with the practical, physical things first. You can't just jump over it and go directly to, I'm a spiritual being having a physical experience. You have to go to, no, I'm a physical being having a physical experience, and if I don't deal with this stuff, if I don't get my physical experience into a good place, then I can't do any of the other really great, revolutionary, evolutionary sorts of work. We can chip at it, we can tap away at it, but it's critical. The cool thing is, though, once you get the scaffolding in place, once you get this foundation in place, healthy habits, new ideas, a growth mindset, once you're able to detox those past traumas and and integrate them back into yourself. Once you're able to create safe spaces where you can feel nourished inside of you and outside of you, once you understand and recognize how you work and who you are, when you do that stuff, that's what allows you to go to those higher levels of success that other people talk about. Oh, I had this communal experience with God. Well, that's really wonderful, except my stomach is so upset and I'm so overwhelmed by all the people in this room that I'm not having a spiritual experience and I need to go to the bathroom and leave. That's where most of us are at. Most of us are at this place of where we've ignored or minimized or belittled or abused or betrayed. And we got into a relationship with a narcissist because they encourage that point of view. They're directly in alignment with the point of view of where we don't deserve to be treated well, where we don't respect ourselves, when we aren't loving ourselves like we need to be loved. We create these relationships with people who may, who may be really toxic or just somewhat toxic in the right environment. We look for these things because it fits right in alignment with the thoughts and the beliefs and the ideas that were passed down generation to generation to generation. It's up to you to break the pattern. If you want a different life, you have to start changing those core beliefs about what is important. And what's important is making sure that your physical, mental, and emotional self is in a good place first. And when you get that done, when you get that taken care of and you've got healthy things in place and you're on a good path and you have the support, you're able to do more and more and more of that really neat communing with all that is. Because you'll feel it. You won't be hijacked by other things. You'll feel safe. You'll feel comfortable, okay? So a narcissist is designed, almost perfectly designed. You dovetailed, created it, here you are, to take away or reinforce your choices about not taking care of yourself, about not giving yourself the things that you nourish. They encourage those small inner voices that are still hanging out in the back of your head. So you'll also find once you change once you start to get the things that you need, your relationships with narcissists change because suddenly you're not a victim. And when you're not a victim, narcissists either A, don't treat you as a victim, or B, they start to go away. Or C, they rise up to a higher level of themselves because you're no longer encouraging them to repeat their patterns, encouraging them to stay in that dynamic. It takes two. It takes two. And so when you start to recognize that you are a part of this dynamic and there's something you can do about it, and the first things you need to do is to get your life force back, and that there are ways to do it and a pattern to do it, and things that have been around for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, which have been forgotten, but you need to remember. When you start doing that, then you'll realize, you know what, I got this. I can do this. And your life starts to get better, and your relationships get better, and your success starts to get better, and your intuition starts to get better, and you get a lot happier. So there you go. That's kind of the way that it works. So if a narcissist is stealing your life force, it's a perfect opportunity to start to get your life force back. Okay? Cool. So if you feel stuck, I want you to reach out because I'm a really nice person. And we've got some options. We've got a book I've partnered with, tells you everything you need to know about narcissism, a super affordable 8-week coaching, small group coaching program where there's a call every Tuesday for an hour, and I work with these women. There's the free Healthy Mindsets to Cope with Narcissists group that we've got when you want to find other people who are going through the same things. Or you can do one-on-one coaching with me, which gives you much faster progress. Granted, it's, there's more investment involved, more on your end involved. But the beautiful thing is when you start to hold yourself accountable, when you start to do the things that will motivate you and move you and inspire you to become the best version of yourself that you want to become, when you start doing those things, your life changes. So it's totally worth it. So reach out, let me know. We'll figure something out. We'll do a strategy call. We'll, come up with a plan. We'll figure out how to make it work and get you back in a good space, okay? Because if you're ready and if you want to do this, then it's absolutely possible. So I think that's it, except for your homework assignment today. What should it be? What should it be? You know what? I want you to take responsibility for one thing that you don't like in your life, that you aren't happy with. Not responsibility for everybody else, because you've probably been doing that most of your life, taking responsibility for everybody else's feelings because they've been off the, they've been Looney Tunes, and you've been made to feel responsible for how they feel, because it's all your fault anyways. I want you to take responsible for something with you, for some experience that you're having, whether it's your stomach or your shoulder or your head or your thoughts or whatever it may be. I want you to pick one, and I want you to look for and find a tool, or reach out and ask me for a tool that will help you develop that. I'll give a great example. I've got a friend of mine who wants to get better and better and better at music. They spent their whole life thinking they could never get good at music, even though they loved music. They loved playing music, listening to music, being a part of music, loved it all. But they spent decades thinking that they couldn't do it. And now, after some lessons and practice and some obsession, they're realizing that they're getting pretty good. Oh my gosh, that all this time putting in is actually having a positive effect, and they're starting to evolve, and they're starting to grow, and they're starting to realize that when they have a problem with something, they aren't helpless. There's actually probably a solution out there. And so one of the challenges that they have is rhythm. They don't have very good rhythm. And so what are they going to do to solve it? They're going to get a metronome. They're going to listen to songs while they're playing at the same time so they can get it in their muscle memory. This rhythm, this idea of movement and integration and how it's all worked together, they're going to problem solve it on their own, or with some help from everything that they've read and seen, and they're going to get their rhythm. Not everything is helpless and hopeless. There's actually stuff you can do about it. And so when you get into that mindset, that change is possible. In fact, we're wired for growth and change. We are designed or wired or created or evolved or something for growth and change. And when we start to find solutions that will help us do that, then you grow and change. You aren't trapped. And you have to start questioning everything that you thought was true and being open to new answers and new solutions and things which are counterintuitive and taking that step, okay? So, one thing in your life that you're not crazy about, that you don't like the experience you're having about, and look for some solutions for them. Or write down or create or problem solve some solutions, or ask other people for their advice or their thoughts on solutions. Because other people have been through this too. You aren't the first one. And so many of those people walking on the street, they might have had the same sort of encounter. Ask somebody that's a likely candidate to be able to give you some good advice on how they handled when they were going through that, okay? And then you gather that information and you try a couple things and you see what works. And if one thing doesn't work, you try something else. And if that doesn't work, you try something else. Sort of like Edison, trying to figure out the light bulb, okay? So I think that's it. I hope you have a great day. I'm going to have a great Friday, a great weekend. I'm going to go take a shower and go visit my husband in the hospital, okay? So I'll talk to you later. Bye.